In a place that was far, far away, a land where magical ponies lived, they say, the princess that ruled had a student who was young, smart, and very prudent. Twilight Sparkle always loved to read. She can go through many books in great speed. Books were her life she lived for. Anything else she would strongly deplore. Books she read in her own little place. No need to think, go at her own pace. Sentences with meanings that were so deep, ruining the story from sounds higher than a peep. Chapters that also have deeper meaning. You will be so glad and end up screaming. Plots and characters that with just one look you will be reading further into the book. Soon her joy had come to an end. Princess Celestia wanted her to make one friend. Twilight and her baby dragon Spike flew in an air balloon and arriving at a place called Ponyville very soon. Without realizing she began to cry, for she didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. All those books she could read now no more. The heart in her chest felt like it tore. A pony in a cheerful pink gave her a scare when she skipped, sang, and scuffled her hair. Pinkie Pie was her name, as a friend she called, even though they barely knew each other at all. All of a sudden, Pinkie Pie had to yell. Twilight's hoof broke her carcass and she fell. She smashed her permaxillae in fear, hoping no one in the village would hear. Pinkie's cries for help could not be heard. She wished she could at least get out a single word. Twilight continued to stomp until she bled, as a for sure sign she was dead. With her magic horn she cast a levitating spell, carried and threw the body into a nearby cell. Watching in terror as blood fills the floor, she used the key and locked the door. As she turned to Spike, who saw what she did, another dead weight she had to get rid. She used her magic to where his head was gripped. The muscles, mandibular, and cervical vertebrae were then ripped. She spent many days hidden in her new home, in a village she wished to not see or roam. Sadly, when she was visited at her door with a knock, a pony who spoke in a western style talk. She told her name and greeted herself with a hi, and then asked if she'd seen a pony named Pinkie Pie. The pony said her name was Applejack, and chances were she might be back. She thought Twilight should see the whole town. It was not true, though she didn't want to be found. The thought of making friends gave her dread. Then an interesting idea popped into her head. Twilight offered her to come in. Applejack's replied with a sly grin. Twilight reared up her legs with a frown. A back kick to the head knocked her down. Applejack awoke in a painful moan. She was in a dark cell and all alone. She tried to move, but her hooves were strapped. Nowhere to run or hide, she was trapped. Her mouth was numb, she could not shout. From the darkness, Twilight came out. Applejack tried to stay awake for dear life when she saw Twilight with a cutting knife. She took her knife and made a long cut from the tip to the bottom of her gut. Applejack tried to scream, but her voice was stolen. Twilight began to take out her spleen, cecum, and colon. She noticed that the pony was beginning to make a fuss, so she took a small rock and pushed it down her esophagus and went down her throat and into her lungs. Ouch, that looked like it should have stung. She sliced the skin under the mane. The more blood began to drain. Applejack's small intestines in half she cut, and everything became messy somewhat. From inside her body she began to take apart. She left alone the lungs, liver, and heart. The heart was beating faster and faster. The whole idea was becoming a disaster. She needed to be quick and then look for wires attached into Applejack's heart with some pliers. The electric from the box had finally spread, and from too much pressure she was dead. Soon rumors started to spread around the town. Missing ponies had brought their spirits down. She needed to get out and get out fast. Any longer in this town and she would not last. This was an event that they would never forget, still not knowing who had done it as of yet. In the night she galloped as fast as she could. Leaving Ponyville had never felt so good. Coming home is what the princess will never assume. She would rather stay hidden away and locked in her room. She then locked herself in a tower of the country lot, where she stayed and died alone but never forgot. She and all her books at least happily wrought. The end, and farewell, twilight sparkle.